Hello again YouTube. So this is introducing my 2003 ZX6R A1P. We're in March 2022. I purchased this bike back in July 2020 after owning my J2. You can check out my previous video and the introduction of that for the yellow one. And the plan was to buy this one that only had 1,900 miles on the clock and sell the other one, but I've decided to keep both of them. One as my, they're both exceptionally clean, but one as my pristine bike, and one that I don't mind getting a little bit dirty, and I'm looking at maybe if I can do a track day or two, use that one for it. So I'm going to be going around the bike and showing the changes that I've made, whether you want to call them upgrades or whatsoever. First of all, to the brakes, we've got the Brembo Costa Coffee, and we have braided lines. And with the brakes themselves, I've just taken them apart and put new seals, and it uses I've found the best pads are the SBS pads, the track day fast road pads, and I find they heat up sufficiently quick enough for the road. They're excellent. And if you do watch my other video, if you've watched my other video, you know I'm not sponsored, but these OHA lines are absolutely fantastic. For 60 quid you can get front race lines and a rear line, where Hell will charge you 90. And as I've said before, just zooming in, if I can get this down, you'll see them now. They actually use Hell accessories. And the bolts themselves, I've had Hell lines, these are exactly the same, and the bolts are exactly the same. So save yourself 30 quid. Okay, yeah, it doesn't have Hell on them, but it's up to you. We've got the Arrow full titanium race pipe on with the headers. So to help run that, we've got the K&N air filter. I've also taken out the secondary air intake system. We've got 4-degree advanced timing on the ignition rotor. It has been on and off the dyno, so I can fuel it properly. I originally just dropped a dyno jet kit in it and put it at standard on the needle. After a run on the dyno, or a few runs on the dyno, we worked out where it was running lean or running too rich. Had a hole in the mid-range, so we actually leaned that out, which got rid of the hole. And dyno jet use a different sizing guide, so the standard jets in this are the 157.5s, and Dyno Jet recommend their dyno system is a 134 or a 136, can't remember off the top of my head, but that's comparable to about a 152.5. It's actually going down, it's actually a smaller hole, so we actually went bigger because it was running lean. Tried 165s, it's like the original Kleins, that was a little bit too rich, and settled for the 160s, and that runs 112.6 to the rear wheel. And when you think as standard, the specs say that it's 118 at the crank, and then you've got 10 to 15% loss to the rear, it's actually good power. And the place that I take it, they actually run Moto 2, so there, it's pretty well calibrated, so it's pretty true. Coming around to the front, Something I used to do, or something I'd done on my old RD350 30 years ago, was put a fault brace on. The difference between front normal forks and upside down suspension is the rigidity. Oh, I can't say that word. Rigidity. There we go. So a fault brace stops them from flexing, which is superb. I have just put a cheap dash cam on there, £40 off eBay. That's 1080p at the front and 720 at the rear. And to be honest, it just gives enough in the event of an accident, just to give me as much as possible. Now, I bought my J2 back in 2018 and I absolutely fell in love with the bike and started looking at how to upgrade or change the bike to make it more for me. I've got a back issue and I found the bike just so comfortable. I've tried the new bikes and tried the new 636, and it's a wonderful bike, a wonderful engine, but just a little bit too aggressive for my liking. Creeping up to 50 now, so well, a couple of years away from 50, and yeah, it was just trying to make the best. And so yeah, the J2, I decided, because it had done 22,000 miles, I decided to invest in some suspension, and at the time I could afford it, so the whole lot went off to Maxton. So these are actually Maxton shocks, and the best that they could do was to put them on a machine, drill out the inside and put complete new internals in. So this is like the new style suspensions, where you have compression and rebound on each individual fork. So you've got compression on one fork and rebound on the other. And it's got the SD25 inserts on there with springs to match my weight. I'm only 12 stone with all my gear. Just to look at the miles, I think we've done, let it show up. It's got so glary at the moment. I think that just picks it up. 4,096. I've got a gear indicator on now. If I come down to this side, you just see now. God, my brain's gone dead. So I've put a quick shifter on there, Hill-Tick quick shifter. Might have to do a video on that. There's a guy called Lamb Chop who tests the Hill-Tick, and if you're patient enough to set it up, it's actually excellent. I mean, I wouldn't use a quick shifter for under 5,000 revs, but after that, when you're 7,000 and above, and when you're going for it, it's excellent. As I say, you spend a lot of time setting it up, and they work a treat. Found it very easy to install. Just goes onto the ignition side where your spark plugs are. That was another thing that I put, iridium spark plugs, so I can just take them out and clean them rather than just replacing them every single year. On the Maxton, bought the GP10 rear shock. That obviously makes a huge difference. So the suspension is just excellent. And what I really noticed jumping from this bike to the new 636 is really just the weight. That's the main thing. But I actually prefer it being a little bit heavier. For real world, if you're going down a motorway and the wind's blowing, you're not being blown around everywhere. But obviously if you put it on a track, the newer ones are going to be quicker. But I just love the old style. At some point I will do another video where a friend of mine gave me a magazine on tuning these up. It's basically bolt-on parts and stuff that you can do to them. One of the things they say is these bikes are geared for 160 mile an hour. I don't know who's going to do that. Or I suppose you can if you're going around the track and got long enough straight, or down the autobahns or whatever. But I've gone one down at the front and one up at the rear to give more acceleration and more mid-range, and that's where I'm comfortable. And to be honest, even going along at 70 mile an hour, it's still under 7,000 revs, so it's still very, very comfortable for me. So I just thought I'd do a quick sound check. So we start her up. One thing I really like about these Arrow systems is the rear pipes are actually quite long rather than just being the short stubby ones. Now that means that they're a little bit more quieter. Now when I put this on the dyno, or actually when I originally put my J2 on the dyno, it came with an MTC rear slip-on, and done two runs, one with the baffle in where it ran 100, with the baffle in it ran 96 brake horsepower, with the baffle out it ran 104, and that just shows the massive difference of running without a baffle. But the MTC exhaust is ridiculously loud, and I've only done one track day and I had a problem because I'd taken the MTC exhaust. Even with the baffle in, it ran 103 decibels and they wouldn't let me on the track. Fortunately, someone had another baffle, a super quiet baffle, that we ended up putting in, and that got it down to 99. But you could really feel it stifle the throttle. So these running without a baffle, the J2, when I went to the track with the other Arrow, with no baffle in at all, it ran 98 decibels, and you're getting pure throttle from that as well, nothing being stifled. So that's what I like about a proper full race system. They're not only giving you the performance, but they're also keeping it quieter. So I'm just going to take the choke off. Still not fully warm yet. I'll show you from the revs. Get a little closer. just rasping up, and that's around about up to about 8,000-9,000 revs. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Just go over a few more close-ups. You can see how clean the rear brakes are. Rear brake, I've got the SBS, just double H sintered pad in the rear. That's the best that they do. I know it looks like I've got no oil in it, but there is. It's because it's on the rear stand. And yeah, at some point I've got to go through this magazine because it will just tell you, well, it will just show you all the little bits and pieces that you can do just to make your bike a bit more modern, maybe a little bit better performance. Another thing I've done that's not that expensive on the seat to make it more comfortable. In this particular one, there's 2 centimeters of gel pad underneath the seat, and I just investigated, looked at YouTube videos on just taking the seat off, undoing all of the staples, cutting into the foam, putting a gel pad in, and then I put 6mm of extra foam over the top so you couldn't see any outline at all, and then just re-stretched over the leather, and that probably cost you around about £40 because you're going to have to buy a stapler, gel pad and the foam. I also actually bought some spray glue as well, so 40-50 quid, but I also then done my other one as well, and all I had to do was buy the gel pad, because the amount of foam that you get, you can easily do 2 seats, but makes a huge difference, much more comfortable on your bum. This one's also, both of them have also got the quick action throttle as well. I just prefer this because I've had the old carpal tunnel operation. That's closed, that's fully open, so when you're literally just going along the motorway, you only need to open it about that amount, and it's just so much more comfortable. Obviously got the Oxford heated grips on there as well. Well, something I didn't say about the Maxton suspension, the reason I went for Maxton, is I'd looked at all the other companies. I'm actually just going to get a seat. I'd looked at all the other companies like Nitron, K-Tech, and a lot of the companies, they'll sell you the parts. You've then got to really get them fitted. The front forks you can send away and have K-Tech fit them, but no one actually sets them up for you. Maxton are fantastic because they're on the other end of the phone. I mean, Nitron actually emailed me back and said once you're done, they recommended a particular place, but it's then another 110 quid to actually have the suspension set up. And Maxton send you through these massive booklets to actually teach yourself, and then you can literally take that knowledge and set up everyone else's suspension, which is pretty much what I've done. I mean, so these front forks are actually from the J2, because I bought the Maxton suspension when I had the J2, and all I've done is swapped them over. The A1P differences to the J1, J2, so it looks exactly the same. They've obviously got colour differences, but there's 44 improvements. They've obviously bored out the engine to a 636. They changed the carburetors from 36mm to 37mm, and then they say that they changed the front suspension dampening, made it better. The internals are better. So when I bought the A1P, it only had 1,900 miles on the clock. So that suspension, so that rear shock and that front suspension, has gone on to the J2. And to be honest, I've set that up, spent a lot of time just riding, clicking, riding, adjusting, and for a road bike and for just general use. I mean, you've got to ride the bikes back to back to actually really notice the difference in them accident. And yes, there is a difference, but it's cost 1,900 quid. It's a lot of money. I think one of the best upgrades you can do, and something that we all forget, is tyres. Get yourself a really good set of tyres. I want to try the S22s, Bridgestone S22s. I'm a Michelin person. These power pilots, I think they are meant to be excellent tyres for the money they came with the bike. They were changed in 2017, so they're not old, so I didn't want to get rid of them. I bought Michelin Road 5s, which were excellent all-round tyres, but then changed to the Power RSs, Power RS Plus on a rear and Power Plus on the front, and as soon as you got out on the road you could notice the difference. That's actually another point. The front tyre, the standard front tyre, is a 65, a 120 65. Most brands don't do that now. They do a 120 70, and they say the best thing to do is just check that it's not going to ground out, but because it makes it a little bit bigger when it's close at the rear. But what I can do to the rear is what I need to do is just take the front wheel off, and there's 4 bolts inside here, and you can just move that around. But obviously I forgot to do that when I was doing the brace, because so I just need to move it back. It's not catching at the moment, but I suppose if a stone went up there it may hit it. But yeah, it's clear. So yeah, just wanted to introduce it, and there you go. That's my 2003 ZX6R. Thank you very much. Cheers. Just wanted to put a quick message at the end. These videos take a little while to put together, so if you can put up with my monotone voice and boring stories, if you want to hear some more, please click the like button to let me know that I'm not wasting my time, because I can put my feet up and not bother if people are not interested. But if you are interested, you can click the like button, push the subscribe with the bell, so when I do release more videos, you'll get notification. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed. All the best, stay safe. Bye.